Hello everybody, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So Pinky Doctor here as always. Thank you guys so much for the love and support. I'm so grateful, I'm so humbled. I'm like, God take the glory because it's not me, it's about God, okay? And I'm just grateful for what God is doing on this channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you're blessed. If you are, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. We'll be so glad to have you as part of our family. Thank you. So today, um, I've returned to give God all the glory. I'm here to share my testimony. I'm sure you already have an idea of what it's about from the thumbnail, but God is real, okay? God is faithful, and God is so intentional. I don't know how to put it, but if God is giving you a word, even if you don't understand what it means, you can take it to the bank. Just forget about it. Just sleep. Okay? The Bible says that His word will not fall to the ground, but it will accomplish the purpose for which it was sent. It says, heaven and earth shall pass away, but His word remains. I don't know what form the word of God has come to you, but see, God is faithful, okay? God is faithful. He does mind-blowing things. So, if you don't know, I schooled in Ukraine. So I was my final year last year, and when the war happens, like we had to, leave. I was in my final year. I had about 4 months to go. Okay, roughly 4 months to go. So when it happened, obviously, like there was no time to plan or calculate or anything. So I left. And when I left, I returned back to Nigeria. So anybody that knows me knows that I'm a very patriotic Nigerian. Even if you keep breaking my heart, right? I'm still, I don't know. So I went back and I was like, okay, whatever happens, I'll do like the licensing exam in Nigeria. But actually, that was after I had landed there. So I left without a plan. Lest I forget. 1 month before this, on the 23rd of January, I had a dream, and in that dream, God told me, in the same place you were rejected, you'll be accepted. One of the details was that the application was in Ukraine, and it was written Kasa, Kaca, right? And that is the Ukrainian word for cashier. So like those desk that have like transparent glasses between you and the receptionist. So it was written Kasa, it was written in Ukrainian language. And then like I said, I left to Nigeria without any plans. Now prior to this time, 2021 November, I'd made an application for a visa that I didn't get. I was denied that visa. Okay. So after this was when I had the dream. Okay. Yeah, so let's keep going. I just wanted to give context to it. So I got to Nigeria, and after like a month or so, we learned that we couldn't do like the medical licensing exam in Nigeria. I don't even know how I felt, but obviously it was very disheartening. So already like the whole time, my mom was um you know she wanted me to do like the US medical licensing exam. So that was in my mind, okay? That was in my mind. Now, so when the Nigeria thing happened, we had to find like alternatives, right? So it meant that there was nothing I was doing in Nigeria basically. So I had to make plans. So my options were get a US visa, do like clinical rotations, just not to have the gap year, and also like try to do like masters. So I tried to get admissions there. So I saw this anesthesiology program. I applied to um Barbados. The plan was to like go back a year back, right? And then write the US exam, and then yeah, do the clinical rotations, right? All these are my plans. In the midst of these plans, I'm not someone to make like decisions on my own. I always pray and seek God. I prayed, I sought God. God was silent, like he said nothing. And I remember this day, like I was watching a video, Apostle Joshua Selman, when God is silent, right? And he explained what it meant when God is silent, and the fact that there's so many reasons he can be silent. Maybe he has gone ahead of you, is working things out, just to be perfect for you, okay? Or it's not yet time, and a couple of them like that. It was so frustrating. If you have to like bank on God's word for like decisions in your life, you relate to what I'm talking about. I was so confused. I didn't know what to do. I was always remembering this dream in my head, but I really did not want to go to this country. I didn't want it. Okay. I went on with the application, right? And sometime in May, I had to go like write my final exams in Ukraine. So like thankfully, they said we could write our exams online and then, get our diplomas. So I met with like my classmates in Abuja, and we wrote the exam together. Now during that period, like a friend of mine just randomly texted me. It's like, oh, there's this Portugal application. Um, I should try to do it. I hate applications so much, and at the time, I was already applying to like get a Schengen visa to return back to Ukraine because I didn't have my diploma. So it's like, what are you doing? So I wanted to just return to Ukraine. Plus, I had this dream at the back of my mind. So part of me knew that, and I might have to go back to Ukraine or something, right? Even though it was not actively there, but subconsciously it was there. And it just felt like a good plan to go back. So I just did the thing passively. After a week, they gave me the permits, right? So I booked the flights. This was for July 5th or so. I booked this flight like to go back with the permit. And we're not still hearing that they've stopped letting people travel with the permits because people are forging their identity, saying that they were in Ukraine at the time when they were not in Ukraine, things like that. So they stopped it. So I was scared. I was like, okay, that means I have to cancel my flight ticket. So I canceled the flight ticket, and I now thought to get like a Schengen visa, to like augment with it and then go. So I applied for Schengen visa. So I had to leave. I had to leave at the time I was in Port Harcourt. So I had to leave Port Harcourt to Abuja for the interview, right? Submit my documents. So I went. Also, at the time, there also plans to process like a US visa as well. And also, at the time, my cousin was supposed to go with me with this Portugal route, but then he had to wait for his passports. So you're going to see where he comes in all this, okay? So that was July. So I left to Abuja, I think in August or so. Yeah, that was around the time I had my interview, Schengen. So I went, I did the application, and I was supposed to get like a result after 5 days. So I got I got a result, and they said the night, for whatever reason, I don't remember, but it was just funny. It was sad. So I had to, go for the US interview, which was in September. So I already booked like my ticket to go um to go to Lagos, right? Because the US interview was in Lagos. So for every time that I was supposed to leave, something will happen. Like they'll cancel my flight will be delayed and things like that, like indefinitely. So I'll have to reschedule like up to 3 times. So I remember like my mom's friend who I was staying with, like she was like, everything was together for good. Don't worry, like there might be a reason why, you know, you're not getting a release to go. And remember, in this whole time, I was still praying for direction. Okay. I remember like some days before this denial, I called my friends and he was like, I should write down like all my options. And I wrote it down. And really, to me, the only option that was like really looking good was the Barbados. But then he was always like, um, you should do the UK and things. I was like, no, it can't be. Also, like another friend of mine, like randomly called me and told me like, I should do like IELTS and things. And I was like, nah, cannot be. So like for every time anybody talked about like UK, I was always like, no, I can't do it and things like that. Like it was not an option for me. Simply because I didn't really know like anyone there, you know. Yeah. And then I don't know, whatever reason, but yeah. So this flight delayed, and I now decided that okay, let me change the flight, the airline. So it was Max Air, and then I was like, okay, let me do Arik, okay, like another airline. So I booked Arik airline, and remember this whole time I was praying for direction. Okay, in fact, like this period I was in my mom's friend's house, I was going to do Nami's a lot. So one day, I told God that when I get into church, like let me just get like the direction. And when I got into church, like for real, Pastor Ninch actually mentioned like a country. Like but then again I was like, no, it can't be, it can't be. Okay. So this why I delayed for whatever reason. So when I changed it to Arik, okay, and now went like nothing happened, like it was free and fair. So that was like a 7 a.m. flight. So I go to the airport and I meet um and I meet Ima, oh my god. And I know that Ima, oh my god, is like his I think he's based in the UK or his wife, but like there was just something UK about him. And that morning, like one of my classmates, like in Ukraine, just texted me randomly. Obviously, I like thinking about it now. I knew that it was God also confirming things to me, and he was like, "Are you in the UK?" Because obviously, I took a picture with Emma. Oh my God! I was like, "No." I'm like, "What is all this?" So fast forward to Lagos. I did the application for the US interview. The day before the interview, right? I got like words saying, "Oh, you're gonna get it," and blah blah blah. But deep down in my spirit, there was like this. I don't know, but it was not really peaceful. Like it's not. It's like I didn't get a go ahead. Okay, but I just felt like okay, people had confirmed it. I know, I prayed and things. And when I woke up that morning, I was so confident, like myself. I was like, I'm going to get a visa. I'm going to. Yeah, they'll not bounce me. I went and lo and behold, they told me to my face, I'm sorry, you do not qualify for a US visa. And the funny thing was that this woman actually stepped out with my passport. Like it was like she was going to get like an acceptance letter, and then she just comes back and she's like, I'm sorry, like you not qualify. So I don't know whatever happened when she stepped out, but yeah. So looking back now, I'm like, God was just trying to tell me that I know you want this. I got you. It's not like I can't give you, but I need you to obey me, okay? So that happened. I remember I cried. I was like, God, why would you say this? And, it didn't happen because I got a lot of confirmations about it. It was just confusing for me. But then I remember that dream again. Now, it was like in the same place you were rejected, you were accepted. So right now there were two rejections. See how the devil plays tricks on our minds. So now there were two. There was the one, the UK one in November of 2021, and now there was the US one. So now I was like, okay, so it means that, yeah, God was seeing in advance that I was going to get a US visa rejection, and he was like, okay, you'll be accepted. So it not even made my mind stronger to pursue anything US. So I was, pushing for the anesthesiology program and the master's program in the US. I also did USMLE registration, like ECFMG. Yeah, I did it. And then, yeah, so the UK thing was passive. So because somebody said I should do the IELTS, I was just like, okay. So, and also the school I was applying to, they required it. And, yeah, so I was just like, okay, I'll go and do it. And it's not IELTS, it's not English. I went and I didn't get like the score that I needed, right? So I couldn't do the admission that year. Plus, the fact I was not enthusiastic about it, I was just whiling away time. Sure, that admission like passed. I had to defer it to 2023. After the rejections from the US visa, I I'm sorry if the story is like everywhere, but don't worry, like it's going to add up at the end, okay? By God's grace, the Holy Spirit is going, because this is not about me, this is about the strange acts of God, okay? Um, I pray it blesses you. I pray it gives you like encouragement to keep going. So when I didn't get the stuff right, um, I started thinking, okay, what's next? Okay, I was so confused. I was like, what's going on? So now somehow I met this guy and okay, he needed a voucher. At the time they were giving Airbnb vouchers and I happened to have one. So he needed a voucher, and when he texted me, I just felt a leading to like give him the voucher. Mind you, I was leaving the country, I was planning to leave the country, so it means that I would need the voucher, okay? I would need it to book a place to stay. But God said I should give it to him. And I had to, because me, I'm the last person to obey God. Like, I just want to obey God because I like my peace of mind, okay? And I know that when He says let go of something, that means He's about to give you something bigger. Sha, I just don't want to be in that position of disobeying Him. So I gave him the voucher, and obviously my brother, brother, and my cousin, they were like, "Don't want to kill me." I was like, I don't even like it doesn't make sense to me too, but this is what I heard. So I gave it to him, and then some days after, like he just goes like, why don't you do like the Portugal thing? Why don't you just come to Portugal? So that planted a seed. Now my cousin too, that was supposed to get his passport to leave. Somehow around that period, his passport was not ready, so he was coming to Lagos to travel from there. So he comes to Lagos, we're just talking. Me, I was like, okay, I don't even know if this is the right thing to do. So I just called my mom and she was like, okay, let's do like 3 days praying and things. And like to just hear God. And if he's go ahead, then I'll go. So he came. And he was supposed to leave like the next day from when he came, right? So this was around 24th of September. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. So he comes and yeah, so he was supposed to leave 20, he was supposed to leave 24th, I think. So he came 23rd, he was supposed to leave 24th. So as he was going, like as he was going to leave, there was just this strong feeling in me that girl, stand up and leave. Mind you, like when I left Little Lagos, I didn't even have my bags. My bags were still in Port Harcourt because I just came for an interview. I was like, I'll go back to Port Harcourt and then take off from there. Somehow, like my bags, when I arranged for it to be sent to me, it arrived within this period, so I could leave. Because if my bags were not there, I would be contemplating like, I know, it cannot be God. Like, how will I leave my bags and things? But it was available. I had money. I don't even remember how I had the money for a ticket, but that day, like as I was leaving, I was just like, let's go. I didn't want to tell my mom. I didn't want to tell anybody. Like I just wanted to call them. Like when I was in Portugal, and say, okay, I'm in Portugal. So We started leaving, heading for the airport. The man that was supposed to come and pick me was even shocked, like, where are you going to? But there was an urgency, like I had to leave. Like God was telling me, go. Like if you miss this chance, that's it. So I followed him, got to the airport, I bought a ticket, and then I called my mom and told her that, Mommy, I'm leaving. Like I know we already said we pray and things, but I just feel like if I don't leave now, that'll be. And I called my mother because I knew she was spiritually, sensitive. She would understand me. I didn't call anybody else. My auntie that was staying with, I just, had to act on impulse. I got the ticket. We now got there, and the airline was like, they have to verify the documents and things. So we couldn't travel. Stayed in a hotel for like 2 more days. So I think 26th was when we now left. Okay. Now that 26th, because I on 24th, which was the first day we went to the airport, I mistakenly got like a ticket from an airline that was not Emirates. I thought it was Emirates. It was another agency. So I got this ticket. And so when I came on 26th, they could not now use the same ticket because it was not from the airline. So I had to go back to the place where I got the ticket from. And guys, these people had voided my ticket. So I had to pay another money for tickets. And when you buy a flight for that day, like same day you're traveling, it's going to cost you like extra money. The ticket that was 700k, which is not even cheap, was now 1.2 that day. Like I had to pay another 1.2 on top. Guys, I was so devastated. I was pained. My heart was heavy. And these people kept telling me that if I don't pay the money, like they'll void my, because I was arguing, it's like, you guys refunding my money, blah 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 blah. They were like, there's nothing they can do that, and like they already voided it and things. And I had to travel. Like, it was already 2 hours to the flight takeoff, and I just knew that I had to make it. So I just paid the money. Hmm. And then when I got to the checking point, the Emirates people were now like, no, that I shouldn't have done that. I should have reported to them and things. Guys, you can only imagine how I felt. I was so sad, like tears were in my eyes. I was just like, guy, I just paid almost 2 million naira for tickets. But I mean, I had to leave. I knew that I had to take this move. As I was going, my permit in Ukraine was already expired, but I heard that okay, due to martial law, you could use it to come back. You get, and okay, so I was just scared because I was really done with school. You get. So I was just like, this is like the best option. Let me just one of my cousin who is still studying. So anything, it could just be like, okay, two of them are together. You get, because I knew that there was martial law, but obviously there's still that fear because there's no like it's not the norm. Like anything could happen. So I just went, and as I sat in that flight, I remember vividly. I'm a very shy person, and if I'm going through stuff, like I don't like to like make anybody even know. But I remember tears rolling down my face, and I was just like, what is all this? Like, I started thinking, like, is it really people? Like, so many thoughts running down my head. I was like, God, I know that I didn't ask you before I left Ukraine, but is this like a punishment or something? I felt so devastated. And so we left to Portugal. I remember watching, God works in mysterious ways. As I was feeling bad, I was like, okay, what movie do I watch? Let me just distract myself. And I played the Cinderella movie. And it was exactly just talking to me like how she went through stuff and things, but in the end it was fine. And God was just telling me that you'll be fine, okay. That was like the first time in the whole time I've been praying that He was like, don't worry, be fine. Like there was a message actually talking to me. I felt so much relief. Obviously I cried too with her. I mean Cinderella. So we go to Portugal. Now, remember, I gave out my voucher. I'm going to Portugal impromptu. So there's no accommodation for me. I just lost 1.2 million naira.